Let's talk to the visiting professor at London South Bank University, James Woudhuysen. Good evening, James.
Hi, Kevin.
I mean, you and I have discussed this before, but what is the point of COP26? What on earth will it achieve?
Well, I think actually I've come to the conclusion it's a good thing because of everything that you've just been talking about. The masks are off. I mean, literally and metaphorically, and I think anybody with eyes in their head who watches wall-to-wall wokeness and greenness and meat-free life and all of that, probably switches off from COP26, but is very suspicious of it. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think the hypocrisy is, as Trevor Kavanagh said, very egregious. But I do want, in my usual style, Kevin, if I may, just to raise our game a little above,
of course,
the "what a bunch of hypocrites"
Mm-hmm.
line. I think people on the right side of this debate, which doesn't mean that they're right wing, I'm left wing if that meant anything anymore. They like to sort of go nudge, nudge, what a bunch of creeps, hypocrites. It doesn't do it because, it takes individual consumption as its premise. And it says, look, Emma Thompson, she's emitting a great deal, not just the verbiage, but, her private jets and all of that. And actually at the back of your mind is the idea, especially when you see all these polluting power plant towers and everything, that actually her contribution to emissions is very modest. And even the global emissions I'm talking about, even the 30,000 twits flying into, Glasgow now, really don't, it's a bit like executive pay, really. If you look at the whole system, it's not that big a deal. The big deal is the big power plants and transport and things like that, which is not just a personal question. It's a government question. It's a business question. It's a B2B, business to business issue. It's not just, oh, my kitchen's a meat-free kitchen, or what a hypocrite you are. You had a quick ration bacon rasher on the side. Yeah. So we've got to go a bit further than that. I'm interested that Patrick Vallance tells us to eat less meat
and to stop going to Spain on holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, but my question there, James, I keep asking. I asked it last night. We got a huge response. What is it about people, elites, if you like, wealthy elites like Patrick Vallance, that they think that their obsession with reaching carbon net zero and the climate change issue is more important than the quality of our lives?
Well, I think the thing about all of this is that their hypocrisy is merely a symptom at the level of individual consumption, a fairly superficial level, of their wider brief, which is to squash down living standards, attack the working class through inflation, add more taxes to everything. And it's quite a turnaround, really.
It's working, isn't it?
Well, we'll have to see. There is going to be a revolt, probably beginning with motorists, if the Insulate Britain incidents or anything to go by, and road taxes. And we look at the example of the Gilets jaunes in France. I think there will be a revolt, but the real thing here is that when people go on about their hypocrisy is merely a symptom of the fact that they want to attack the working class. And it's a big turnaround, I was going to say, for Margaret Thatcher, because she noticed inflation, which was caused in her day by declining profit margins. And therefore she wanted to get profitability up and attacked strikers and the miners and wage rises and all of that in order to squeeze out, to wring out, Kevin, inflation. Today, the situation is almost the opposite. They want more inflation because they're going to be okay on that. They got the bank balances. They like the share price ramps. Tesla has just reached $1 trillion. Don't go there, I would say to your viewers. But Bitcoin, we've now got a Squid Game Bitcoin now, just to sort of compound the madness. So, inflation doesn't matter to them, but it does matter to normal people who eat meat. And it does matter to people who want to go on holiday. Not only did Patrick Vallance tell us to cut down on meat, which is actually extremely nutritious, whatever vegans and vegetarians would like you to believe, but also he, in his attack on flights to Spain, he basically is saying that there's all these sort of vulgar, pub-going, fat, white male workers who like to go to Benidorm and lower the tone, and that can happen, we know. But what he's really doing is saying that, this has got to become more expensive. And it's very interesting that the BBC and all the usual woke suspects were aghast that Boris had actually cut, or Rishi had cut, airport taxis. They want higher airport in a couple of minutes because they've got those private jets. Excuse my French. So it's not just at the level of they're hypocrites. It is part of a largely unconscious class war that they are ramping up and getting into.
I agree. There are all sorts of interesting phenomena unfolding here. Trevor Kavanagh talked in terms of this mass hysteria about green issues, about climate change. And what I feel is, James, is that climate change is a very easy thing for anyone to talk about, be it Boris Johnson, be it Prince Charles, Prince William, Prince Harry, Insulate Britain, Extinction Rebellion. Everybody can go, we all want to save the planet. So world leaders love to get involved in all of this because it's basically not controversial to say, wouldn't it be nice if the world doesn't get extinguished? Wouldn't it be nice if the world can carry on? So, but that has contributed to an increasing monomania, and we are seeing it converging on Glasgow in what, as Trevor said, looks almost like a kind of global neurosis now, a monomania about one topic. And let's remember, climate change obviously happens. No one is denying climate change. Just how much humanity is contributing to that is a matter of debate. To say that is a fact, that it's all our fault, is a matter of debate. So we are all converging around what is taken to be an absolute fact, but actually isn't. So there is madness in the air, if you ask me.
Well, I think there's two things there. The first thing is, in the old days, if you were on a date or something, or in a conversation on the train, and people started talking about the weather, you thought, oh God, this isn't going well. This is a bit boring. But it was some kind of establishing common ground. So to the extent that they allied the categories of weather and climate, which are in entirely different categories. In fact, weather is about days and months and seasons and so on. Climate is about decades and centuries, right? So that's a very different thing. I think the monomania that you described, the obsession with just one thing, I'm not sure that the masses who are being squeezed actually go for that.
I absolutely agree. I totally. It's the leaders, yeah.
No, that's right. They got to put meat on the table. They got to get the next week or month's paycheck, and that's what's bothering them. So I think there's going to be a reckoning. I'm looking forward to that reckoning, and I think the COP26 flaunting and preening that we're going to see, and the eventual sort of dissolution of the whole thing, because everybody's going to row. Even the front page of The Economist today has suggested that it's all going to be disaster, which I've been predicting for a month now. They like to catch up at The Economist. When people see people see the disintegration, I think a lot of working class people and middle class people will think, well, serves you right, for lecturing.
Very interesting point. In other words, it's going to be a turning point, but not in the way Boris and Joe Biden and all the others hope. Well, listen, you'll have to come on next week, James, as that event unfolds. I will look forward to it. Thank you so much for your time tonight. James Woudhuysen there, visiting professor at London South Bank University,